slow. How y'all doing this evening? It's the Political Deep Dive, and I'm Dave Valente, joined as always by Dan the Man Fishman.
What is up, America?
America. We're in America season.
America, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. And soon to be from Colorado, AJ. Escaping just in time. Happy Pride, yes. Happy Pride.
Yes.
Happy triggering bigots month. That's always fun. So it's been a while.
It's been a
I mean,
moment.
AJ and I were together a couple weeks ago talking to Chris Lucchini of the Liberal Party. Got to see Chris Lucchini at the Libertarian Party convention and the Project Liberal Summit following. Dan, you were at the Libertarian Party convention as well.
We had a wonderful picture taken together.
We did have a wonderful picture taken together. I did some cosplaying. It was a convention, so I did some cosplaying.
Yeah.
It was fun. But yeah, it's been a couple weeks. Been 3 weeks without Dan on the show. Dan, how are you doing? I see you were tanned, rested, and ready for the Libertarian convention.
I was glad I had taken the time to rest up because, man, it was exhausting. I will say first about the vacation that I took. Barbados is really nice. It's an island that most people don't travel to because it's much further away than other islands. Like it's more than twice as far as Puerto Rico is from the U.S. However, that makes it an interesting tourist spot. Former British colony, now its own separate nation. It is the southernmost of the Lesser Antilles, and it's significantly east from the rest of the islands as well. So
and it has the best flag.
It has a fantastic flag.
That flag is awesome.
Blue and orange with a trident of Neptune in the middle.
Yes.
It was a wonderful place to be. And then we lived on a sailboat while we were there. And that was pretty awesome too. My friend Howard has it's not a large boat, but it's a catamaran, which makes it very wide. So it was a 42-foot long catamaran that actually has 4 bedrooms. Each bedroom has essentially a queen-size bed in it and its own bathroom. Now, it's a tight fit, but it's pretty tight. Water is, of course, a concern because they're desalinating all their own water. However, what they're doing works because it tasted great. And, we would have to take the dinghy ashore to do stuff on the island. But that was one of the other interesting things about it, too. Barbados is not as touristy as other places. So when you want to take the boat on shore, you literally had to take it on shore. And for people who have done boating, landing a boat on the shore, especially in the little bit of waves, that's quite a bit of work. Yeah. So that was exciting, but wonderful time. And then we came back for the convention, and I think we're going to all talk at length about that.
Yes. AJ, what you been up to? Packing,
plotting, planning, all the big P's. That's pretty much it. Lots of phone calls, lots of emails. Let's see. We got the car looked at. That's all good. Yeah, like U-Haul's reserved. Like it's all the things. It's happening.
Yeah, T-minus 10 days.
Yes, there we go. Yeah. There we go. But yeah, I mean that's it. I was spending a lot of time with my mom.
Awesome.
Seeing homies that are still homies.
Well, I mean, you're getting out while you can still leave the state of Tennessee.
While we can still leave the state of Tennessee. Thankfully, I do not have a uterus for them to be tracking. So that's something I've got going for me. However, I do think that would put me in the colonies, if you know Handmaid's Tale, because I'm not really very useful in the kitchen either. So, I'm worthless to these folks.
No. Well, I
No,
mean,
I see
it's
it.
okay to be worthless to those folks. Let's just
Yeah.
be real, you know?
Governor Lee and the legislation, yeah, they are determined to control everything they possibly can and to violate human rights. I mean, the plain and simple, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, running into people, and like I ran into a friend from nursing school at Walmart the other day. She was like, "Oh wow, how'd you get in school?" I was like, "Well, we're like moving to Colorado in like 14 days," and she was like, "Oh, seriously?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "What for?" I was like, "Human rights." And like half a second, she was like, "Oh yeah, I can see that." I
Yeah. I
mean,
mean, so
you
if
know,
you haven't heard what Tennessee did, Tennessee has now signed a law that basically makes it illegal for women to travel or kids to go across the state borders to seek either abortion care or trans care. So, yeah, freedom of movement has been restricted by the state of Tennessee. Um, and yeah, you can find yourself, parents can find themselves in charged by the law for taking their kids to get treatment, and I guess mothers can be charged for seeking care outside of the bounds of Bill Lee's Tennessee. So yeah, I mean
yes.
that's where we've gotten to in um, this
Well, I mean, it's
dystopian
not Texas.
hellscape of politics.
It's not Texas. Texas, they'll kill you.
Yeah, Texas is yeah like a whole nother
They're trying
batshit
really, really
world.
hard. Yes. It
Yeah.
is insane that every dystopian novel that I've
Yep.
ever read, I'm like watching it happen.
We're,
This is not the
yep.
reality TV show that I thought we were getting, folks. How about y'all?
I don't know. I mean,
What have you
it's
done?
just
I am
getting
pretty
worse and
shocked
worse.
that Tennessee, right, which the volunteer state, right, the greenest state in the land of the free, to try to restrict people's movement is insane. It's such a violation, especially considering, Tennessee is a state that wasn't a state at one point in time. It's not one of the original 13 colonies. Nobody landed there. Tennessee happened because lots of people moved to Tennessee. The idea that, everybody else, I mean, I feel pretty confident that this law will not stand, even if it were to go all the way to the Supreme Court. This Supreme Court is not going to let that stand, and I
I would
doubt it'll
hope
go
so, but
very far.
I'm not hopeful. I mean, like I wouldn't be surprised if the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
Uh,
come on. What have they
I
done
think
anywhere
what is
near this?
scary about these laws
I
is
mean,
they
they
keep
did get rid of
doing it.
Roe, so I mean,
And
there
until
are
things
some.
are overturned, there are so many people that are going to suffer in the meantime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like
no,
it doesn't matter if it's just one, like it doesn't matter if it gets overturned later. How many people in the meantime are going to suffer? Like I have a friend that is really terrified of starting a family now because they live in Tennessee. And she was like, I mean, what if I'm one of those people that has a miscarriage? Or what if I'm one of those people that, there's a there's something genetically wrong and the baby, like I will have to carry it to term or I'll have to carry it until I'm too sick to carry it. What if I die?
what's her name in
It's,
Texas, right?
yeah.
oh,
Uh,
the lady that was challenging the law there in Texas. Yeah, I mean,
yes.
it's yeah. Where are they drawing the line? And it seems like the one that provides the most harm to the mother is where they're drawing the line at this point. Like, how far do I have to carry a baby that threatens my life? Well, pretty much to the point where you're at death's door.
Well, I
Right.
mean, they're talking about organs. Like, how many organs can someone lose before they can have an abortion? We're being broken down into organs.
Yeah.
Hmm.
When you look at me, do you see kidneys? I mean, like honestly, like do you just see the parts? Or are we not? Are we not actually people? Because if I'm not actually a person, why the fuck do I pay taxes? If
Right.
I'm not actually a person, why do I have to work? If I'm not actually a person, why the fuck am I having to protect my children and flee my state?
Yeah.
Like I I'm just really, really blown away by how bad it has gotten and how many people are just kind of oblivious. Like, as I'm saying goodbye to people, because there are people that I am saying goodbye to, I'm anxious about these conversations because I know how they vote. I know who, what politicians they push out, and what politicians they show up for.
Yeah.
And these are the same politicians that are causing my family to leave. So it's very strange to me. And it's like, oh, well, I hate to see you go. And it was like, but do you really?
Yeah.
So it's weird.
Well, speaking of body parts, Janice, yes, my butt was delicious. It's
There
very
you
good.
go.
I cooked a pork butt, which is not a butt; it's actually a shoulder for those who don't know. But very very tasty. Had it on the pellet grill for several hours today, and I only got to enjoy a sandwich because I spent the last few hours working on a software release, which is always fun. So, but yeah, so Dan and I were at the Libertarian National Convention this last week.
Tell me all
Was
the
it? Yeah, it
things.
was just a week ago. Um, it was so weird in how everything shook out in that convention. Now, I was not a delegate. Dan was a delegate for Maryland. I came and providing moral support and laughs and all kinds of stuff. Um,
Yeah,
but
I mean, so I think the tone is set pretty early uh, when there's voting on Friday, which is the first day of the convention,
yeah,
and it generally feels
ahoy,
like
Drew.
uh, there are the good guys have the votes. And the reason why we felt that is because there's a huge fight over credentialing. So in the beginning, the forces of darkness tried to ban
Kieran Harris.
entirely 3 states: Michigan, Washington, and Oklahoma. However, uh, the people who were there, who knew the, if you'll forgive it, the score, uh, immediately challenged this, and they had the votes to do it, and they actually won. There was a lot of hoo-ha as to whether or not it required 7/8 to seat them, because it does say that in the bylaws that
But I thought
if
that
a
was
person,
if
if they
the
hadn't been
report
presented
had
to the
been
credentialing
already
report.
accepted, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
in this case, the credentialing report was never accepted. So the people who were approved by the credentialing committee, and it's kind of weird because how do those people get to vote tentatively if they haven't been accepted, if there hasn't been an approved credential report? But there is. So I guess Roberts probably says somewhere that the
Roner's cancer.
report of the credentialing committee shall serve as the actual number of delegates until credentialing committee is approved. But so it seemed like the forces of light had the votes, because first they got Michigan seated. Michigan was probably the strongest case because
Yes.
there was a legitimate court order
Yes.
that the chair of Michigan violated by getting up and talking about it, because he had a gag order on him. But so Michigan is approved, and then after Michigan, they did Washington, and after Washington, they got Oklahoma. And this took all day, delay.
Well,
However,
and I
go
think
ahead.
I think the good feelings about Friday were kind of wiped out in that come Saturday, a lot of delegates from close by states like Virginia and Pennsylvania started flooding in,
Well, and that's
and
exactly it.
replacements as well.
Is that there was a huge, it was all a stalling issue on the part of the forces of darkness, because they knew they didn't have the votes.
Yep.
And so instead, they just dragged it out and dragged it out. And I wish I had a copy of what some of the votes were, but the vote totals were under 800, as I recall,
Yeah.
in that balloting.
Yep.
And when we get around to talking about the presidential election, there were 900 votes cast in the first
Yep.
round. So,
well, not only president, but I mean, let's kind of run down what
well,
happened.
the
So on
chair.
Saturday, we get the first vote, which was for chair. Well, we have the debate for the presidential candidates, but the first main vote was for chair. And Angela McArdle wins on the second ballot. She almost won first ballot. She won on the second ballot, which at that point, I think a lot of people were depressed about. But all of that stuff took so long that pretty much was, I mean, most of what happened on Saturday. They did some of the presidential stuff, but there wasn't enough time before der Gruppenführer came to speak to the Libertarian Party. And
and then
so
there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened too, in that the chair debate was first canceled, then it was moved to Saturday morning, which caused more party time to be burned.
Yep.
On useless shit. Delay. And then eventually they had the vote for chair. Now, there was a lot of interesting talk, like a lot of people who I had thought higher of their political opinion. They told me Nikola's got it, unfortunately. Rutherford just doesn't have it.
I heard a lot of that.
A lot of that talk.
But you know what? I think Stephen Nikola killed himself in that debate and his presentation. I mean, 100% I was not impressed.
Sam Goldstein said the same thing, and Sam was on stage, and so he was on stage. The way the debate happened was some crazy compromise. I don't even know what it was, but apparently we had to compromise our values in order to get a chair debate. And ended up being Sam and Michael Heiss reaching some agreement. And I guess Angela didn't want to debate unless she knew what the questions were beforehand. I could be wrong on that, so somebody can correct me, but it's something like that. They had they had veto power over the questions or something like that. Whatever it was, I mean, that makes sense because obviously you would ask Angela some pretty tough questions.
Oh, pointed questions, yeah. Like
she didn't get any.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. I think a lot of people were disappointed with Mark Rutherford in that no one really brought up the fact that her baby daddy is taking a massive paycheck from the Libertarian National Committee, that she has made herself executive director of the Libertarian National Committee, that she makes massive decisions unilaterally.
Yeah.
Without any input or even seeking input from the Libertarian National Committee. That just confounds me that this continues, that she was reelected. But Stephen Nikola did a horrible job. I think, I mean, I like Ken. Ken's a good guy. I think Ken was just there to speak on behalf of CVCRM.
And take a few shots at Angela.
Which he did. He was really the only one who did. And then Mark was, I'm the leader guy, and I don't think he made the case that strong enough. But I do think that I just don't think they had the votes at that point. That
right. I mean, no. I mean, listen.
To get Mark and
one of the things that it was clear the entire time at the convention was that there was the forces of light and the forces of darkness, and there was very little crossover up until the point when we get to the election and the actual Prince of Darkness is running, and then we do see some crossover. We'll get into that later on.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, it was a solid Mises vote, and Angela won with 50% on the first ballot.
Well, no, it was second ballot. She got 49.5 first ballot, and then she eked over,
right,
and got because both Ken and Nikola dropped,
right,
and heads up against Mark, it was 52 to 40 something, 47, and So I mean, it was close. The numbers were very close. But
Right.
then, the next day we start getting into the presidential election. We start getting into the other LNC offices,
Well, right,
and,
because so then the
and
first
Mark
election,
wins vice chair.
right, the first election the next day is vice chair, and it's very interesting because when Angela won chair, a lot of the people who were planning to run for other offices dropped out. Mimi Robson, who'd been running for vice chair, said, "I don't want to serve with Angela. I'm not running for vice chair." Uh, I can't. Bill Redpath stayed in the race as treasurer.
For
There were a
treasurer.
few other people who were running for at large or something, and then they, uh, and then there are a few really good political moves. One of the most amazing was pulled off by really Rutherford's team, which shout out to my boy Jeff Lyons, who was the chair of the Rutherford campaign,
Yep.
who really, with 6 hours notice, got Rutherford into the vice chair race. Went out there, started passing out paperwork. I don't know where he found a printer, etc., but really moved the ass. And then organized a little bit of a coalition. The CLC people, some of the other people who'd said they dropped out, marshaled some of their support, and Rutherford wins. Now, the Mises candidate was really terrible.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I will say Hannah Goodman has the bravado, the false bravado of Angela McArdle, and the latent insanity of Karen Ann Harlos, like mixed into one package. I, I'm sorry, AJ. I don't know what's going on in Colorado, but there's some crazy bitches there.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the Libertarian Party of Colorado, the Libertarian Party of Colorado is clearly super crazy. And
It's okay. I'm not a libertarian.
exactly
So-
right. Doesn't matter. To you.
There you
I mean, the Libertarian Party of Tennessee has got some crazy ass stuff in it, but they still have
Sorry.
a reputation of
Oh,
some.
I mean, they were that was like a total Mises, because I was watching some of their votes and they were like
Mhm.
22 for the Mises candidate, maybe 2 mattered somewhere else, but
Yeah.
Tennessee was disappointing. I know that there are some good people that are involved in Tennessee that were involved in Tennessee, but they are long since gone. Yeah, so Janice says Karen Ann Harlos won re-election to LNC secretary, which I feel bad for Mark. Like, I wouldn't want to be in that sandwich.
Well, so I'll tell you, for me, that is what Mark Rutherford was built to do.
Oh yeah,
He is that kind of lawyer, meant to survive. I mean, let's face it, right? We can say, "Oh, this is crazy shit," but really, it's just politics that means nothing, right? Marx had to do this on, a huge scale with billions of dollars at risk, people's livelihood,
yeah.
all that stuff. And so he's going to be the perfect guy, and it's one of those things that it's very nice if at some point in your life you get to be the right person in the right place at the right time. And I think that is true for Mark Rutherford in this place.
It's
Ably assisted by Bill Redpath in this
I mean,
situation.
it's good that we got Bill Redpath and Mark Rutherford on the LNC. The problem is most of the LNC, the regionals, the at-larges are Mises or Mises adjacent, or have been recently Mises. I know that there's been some consternation about whether Stephen Akela is Mises or not. He's always kind of towed their line.
Yeah, he sort of was kicked out.
Yeah, he had the bull of excommunication for running against Angela.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hopeful that Bill and Mark can do something, but I'm watching Angela. And I think she's going to continue, because I don't know that they're going to be able to force her to step down as ED.
Oh,
I
no.
don't know.
Yeah.
I think she's still going to do unilateral decisions. She's still going to spend money out the wazoo. Now, Redpath may have some more control over that, but there's still the ways that she can do stuff that is still going to impact the future of the Libertarian Party. Now, I will say that in the wake of the national convention, we have seen some, and of course, the big thing that everyone was there for was to elect a presidential nominee. Chase Oliver won it on the 7th ballot after making a deal with Mike Termott to have Mike as his vice presidential candidate, and he won on the 7th ballot against.
Let's review that. I have yet to find, and I have looked pretty hard now, any state that says that their ballots were not in by the time that Tremont made his announcement. So, like 30 states have said, yeah, our ballots were all cast at that point in time.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about it is, so I talked to the strongest Tremont state, which was New York. New York, I think, had 47 something delegates.
Florida as well.
Maybe a few less. But Florida was a strong Mises state.
But Termott is kind of a native son, and I think he had a few there.
He definitely had a lot of votes there, but I don't think he ever had 50% in Florida. But in New York, he was 90% all the time. And I knew the people, Eric and Gabby Cordova, who were representing the Tremont campaign in New York. And I knew the round beforehand that Tremont was going to be eliminated. Just the way the numbers were breaking, it was Mapstead who had been eliminated, and it was pretty clear that was going to break 2-1. 2 votes going to Tremont, 1 vote going to Oliver, but that would still put Oliver ahead of where Tremont was. And that's almost exactly the way that went. And I spoke to them then, and I'm like, I just want you guys to start thinking about what are you going to do? And they wouldn't say anything to me, which is appropriate. They're still rooting for the candidate afterwards. And then after Tremont is eliminated, the ballot sheets come out. I write down my vote. I turn it in. I go to them and I say, so, guys, did you turn your, they're like, oh yeah, we turned our ballots in already. And I'm like, and they're like, we voted for Chase. We were always never Rechtenwald. Like all of New York was never Rechtenwald. And that's essentially where everything was. And if you look at the numbers over the time frame, now everybody felt like they had to do a deal with Rechtenwald, but the way time was ticking, it took so long for that announcement. So it's a great point, Ken. There were options there. I bet nobody chose to change their vote, though. I would be interested to see if anybody did. Supposedly, there were 3 people who did change their votes, as reported on the LNC business thing. But it was, and I'm guessing Illinois was probably, you've got Bill Redpath there. They were probably mostly never wrecked people, too. And that's the interesting thing about it, is that the never Rechtenwald forces were stronger, I think, than anybody realized. However,
I wonder. I guess we could take a look at it, but the Florida, which had a number of Termont supporters, the fallout between Nikayla
Adam, I want to clarify. Daniel Donnelly was a Rechtenwald supporter. He got like 3 votes overall, and Donnelly was his whip in New York.
Yeah, but the fallout between the Nikayla and McCardle, how that influenced what happened with the, I don't know how Florida turned out at the end as far as the final vote that Rechtenwald was involved in. But so Chase gets the nomination. Good on Chase. Mike Termott gets the vice presidential.
I do think we should talk about what happened in round 7.
Oh yeah. The round 7 was.
Because after round 6, it's 49% Chase, 44% Rechtenwald. So Rechtenwald is eliminated, but Chase is not elected. So now Chase has to run one more round against Noda. all the hardcore Mises Caucus people start going around and saying, vote for Noda. Vote for Noda. You know, we don't want a gay presidential candidate. And they're pushing that end of it.
Yep.
And
Still
then,
pushing.
because remember, Tremont's already made his deal too. They're like, we don't want a woke and a cop for our presidential ticket. So they're playing on their trade, right? They're playing on the hate messaging as to why you should vote for Noda. Even though, as people pointed out, it's probably terrible for ballot access because there's a lot of states that depend on a libertarian presidential candidate. Now,
and I know that there were states that said that, you know, oh, we don't, you know, it's not based off the presidential candidate, but for like my state of West Virginia, we've got a candidate that's running for governor where that race is our ballot access race. If there is no presidential candidate running, it's kind of like having that line from down the ballot. You got a libertarian here, you got a libertarian there. You're much more likely to have libertarian to stay down the ballot. If you don't have the libertarian at the top of the ballot, there's a better chance you're not going to get any votes on the on for governor.
Now, one of the interesting things to mention is that only in 7 states is a party bound to put the national affiliate candidate on the ballot.
Yep.
So in 43 states, if that Noda had one, some states would put Chase on, some states would put Rec on. So it's not like there wouldn't have been any candidate, but it certainly would have split the presidential vote even more. Libertarians probably would have finished 14th behind Gloria de la Cruz, and it would have been a bad number. However, that's not what happened, but it still might be what happens.
Yes,
because now the secretary has raised an issue that is complete bullshit. I don't even understand what it is. But what it is that she is saying
on trans issues.
Exactly. She's saying that Chase's position that he supports minors being able to avail themselves of gender confirming medication. She's saying that is a violation of the Libertarian Party platform. And therefore, the LNC could vacate the presidential candidacy, which is just, it's insane.
And I'm hearing from states that either aren't promoting Chase's nomination at all, they haven't said a word, which, you know, social media is kind of hit and miss through a lot of states. But for a group that has been known for their social media, they've been relatively silent when it comes to Chase. They haven't been silent when it comes to other candidates like Trump or RFK or anybody like that. But that's the thing. We could see states that are Mises controlled that will put up, who knows what the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire puts up. Like I hesitate to think about that.
Yeah.
Yes, Chase does deserve much better. Chase is an excellent candidate. Like we saw him run against Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker. We saw him be influential in that race, get media. We have seen
Rolling Stone called him the most dangerous libertarian in America.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, go even further back. Go back to I heard him speak before I heard of Joe or Spike. Like, honest to goodness, I heard Chase Oliver speak. And he spoke so well, and he spoke about things that actually affected me and mine, that I would put him on speakerphone in the kitchen while I'm making dinner or whatever. Yeah. Like, he has this glow about him when he talks about caring for others. And he's so addicted, like just listening to him speak. His opinion mattered more to me while I was involved with the LP more than anybody else's.
Yeah, I agree, Des, that this and Drew, the treatment that Chase is, the LP does not deserve Chase Oliver. The LP may benefit from Chase Oliver, but they don't deserve Chase
Yeah.
Oliver.
I mean, the old LP was a very fertile ground, right?
Yes.
We're still the first party with 50 state ballot access to have an out married gay man as chair. That is the Libertarian Party of 2020. The Libertarian Party of 2022 elected a bunch of grifters, and that's where everything went wrong. There's really two parts to it. First, there is, the desire to weaken the Libertarian Party. And so one of the ways to do it is to bring in the really terrible people, right? The people that you can't stand to be in the same club with. The racists, the homophobes, the really terrible people. And they certainly brought a lot of those people in and said, well, we got to respect everybody's opinion. That's what we are. We're libertarians. We're tolerant. So we're tolerant of these intolerant opinions, which of course is bullshit.
Yeah.
But then the other thing about it is that
you're bigoted against bigots.
There's some people who realize how much graft is involved in and then this is an interesting question that hasn't come up yet. How much graft is involved in first a political party, but then even more especially a presidential campaign? The Mike Termott famously took out some pretty big loans to advance his campaign.
Yeah.
Is the Oliver Termott campaign going to pay those off? Because that's an interesting question. They probably will. But I think that there's probably a lot of people who donated to Chase Oliver early on who would say, that wasn't what I donated for. But, the campaign is probably going to raise, I would say, $2 million by the end of the year. And so, you pay off Mike Tremott's loans. I think it's $150,000, maybe $250,000. They can pay those off. That's exactly right. Again, some of them are fine people.
So some sad news. Operation Leaf Blower continues for one more round as the Edmonton Oilers win their Western Conference Finals against the Dallas Stars, and they'll face the Florida Panthers in the finals. So one more battle to knock out Edmonton so that Canada does not win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I kind of obviously I'm split, but I think that I'm going to be rooting for Edmonton.
No, I'm rooting for Florida. Too many former Sabres on the Florida Panthers, so.
Florida's terrible.
No, they're not. I mean, they beat up Boston, but I mean that puts them. That's a good check in my book.
They beat up Boston by delaying in the first day until all of their players could get on the ice, and then they had to.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, so I mean, the future of the Libertarian Party is still very much in doubt, at least from my perspective. Like, I just don't think that. I mean, I love Bill Redpath. I really liked hearing from Mark Rutherford. I thought, if the party had been under his leadership, I think that there would be much more solid ground. We wouldn't be having these discussions about what happens with Chase's ballot access.
So I want to talk about one other thing. There was a fundamental flaw made by the forces of light, which was the at-large elections.
Yeah.
So in the at-large elections, I actually know the whole story. I don't want to get into it too much because I don't want to throw some people under the bus. But there should only have been 5 candidates.
Oh, yeah.
Instead...
But you're never going to get that.
No, they totally could have done it. The candidate list was controlled with a very few exceptions. And if you told people, sorry, you can't run because if you run, we're going to lose, people would have understood that. Heidi's on the show. She can answer that question. But fundamentally, right. The Mises Caucus, the Forces of Darkness, only had 5 candidates.
5 people
The
and they're
forces of
well,
light.
and that's the thing. You didn't have time to actually sit down and say, this is our slate.
They did, and they sent it out. And they sent a slate. I got a friggin' picture of it. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Hang on a second, because this is the thing about it is
But Mises had their slate for like 3 weeks, or actually more than that, before the convention. It's hard to coordinate that last second in a convention.
there. That was the slate that was sent around. How
That's
many names
backwards,
do you
but-
count there?
Oh my God, there's a lot of names there.
Exactly.
Why?
Because so here's the thing. If even 3 of the last candidates didn't run, the top 5 would have won. And it would be all 5 forces of light at large.
Yeah.
But
And,
instead,
and then you have a different discussion about the future of the LP.
Exactly. But instead, and I don't know where it went wrong. I do know where it went wrong, is that fundamentally, politics can't be about ego. And that's a problem because nobody is more egotistical than a politician. And so you have to have the people who are willing to tell you the difficult things to do stuff.
Yeah.
And there wasn't anybody willing to say to the people who shouldn't have been, who weren't in the top 5 candidates, you can't run. We're not going to endorse you. We're not going to put you on this list that, Jeff printed out and walked around and handed out 500 copies of that before the election took place. Because, they knew what it was going to be, but instead it was just, it was just poor organization.
Lesson learned: if the LNC is still kicking and functioning in 2 years, then got to know you have to have a slate, some sort set up ahead of time with the candidates. I mean, the at-large is always kind of a shit show with the end of the convention. Everybody's trying to get an office, and you get 50 candidates running across the stage saying who they are, and that's about it.
So fortunately, they got rid of all the speeches because we had no time.
No,
but
you guys went to what, 1:15, 1:20?
Yeah, it was really late. Which is another interesting thing because I'm very excited that we have a real treasurer who will give us the legitimate bill. But I have heard that it was something on the order of $70,000 in overtime.
Oh my God!
For the AV people, because those are the most expensive people there are.
Yeah. I mean, just think of all the equipment. I mean, seriously, that day started at 9 a.m. and they went till 1 a.m. in the morning.
Yep. So the my I don't remember what I was going to say. It's Heidi. It would have been nice if we had speeches. It would have been better if we had organized well enough so that there were only 5 candidates.
Yeah.
Because if we had 8 candidates, if the Forces of Light had 8 candidates, they weren't going to beat the top 5 pieces who had bullet votes.
Yeah.
The other thing is that it's better that we did the. I don't remember how it was done in 2022, but certainly I remember in 2018, somebody had to get more than 50%, and so we did the elimination votes. So as it was, the candidates who were elected with I don't even remember what it was. I want to say something like 9% of the vote. Which is, a very small number. Although it wasn't really 9% of the vote because the secretary can't do math.
Yeah.
But whatever it was clearly well under 50% of the total of votes cast. But the problem was that the vote was so distributed among the 14 candidates that.
Before we wrap everything up, I do want to talk about the summit, the liberal summit that took place after the convention on Monday. That was a really interesting time, talking to Josh Eckel and Mr. Casey on the formation of the new liberals and talking about what the future lies, how things are breaking out, and I'm kind of hopeful for what's going on here. I think that they're laying down some good foundation here. Whether they see a future within the Libertarian Party to achieve this, or whether they're going to have to go somewhere else to achieve this, I don't know yet. We had representatives from the Liberal Party. Chris Lucchini was there, Steve Sheets, Jennifer Moore, Kevin Gaughan. They were all there. Paula Pizzell presented on their behalf. But it was a really good, informative summit that I was only able to stay for about a half of. But they're building something good there. I hope to have Josh on at some point in the near future to talk about his group and tell everybody what they're up to and what they're going to be doing. So there is an idea of what is next coming out, and what where people can put their activism. That's the big thing I've been doing for the last couple of years since the 22 takeover. That we got to find what's next. Where do we put our activism? So there are good things coming out, whether it's the Liberal Party USA or the Center for New Liberalism and all that stuff. I mean, it's just there are good things. So stay tuned. We'll have folks on to discuss that. So what other news happened this week? Anything big happened this week? I don't think anything.
Drawing a blank.
Caitlin Clark has been playing a lot.
She got a hard foul.
A lot of people are unhappy about it, but realistically speaking, Janice we should talk about the fact that Daniel Johnson and
yes, it's about the most productive thing.
Come on, Dan, don't be senile yet.
Was her name Brooke or something like that?
No. God. I knew her first.
Oh, wow.
The whole reason that I met Dan was because...
Oh, we'll get to that in a second, too.
This woman is so amazing that I'm like, who is this guy who was able to take her off the market? And
Janice has it.
Go, Janice, go.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we get to that, Vermin Supreme did win the U.S. Pirate Party's endorsement this weekend. So
Yay!
Good for Vermin. Very excited for him. Definitely well deserved, and glad to see people I like working together. Drew Bingaman, the captain of the U.S. Pirate Party, and Dez and Vermin, and all the good people working together. I'm hopeful to see what comes from that partnership. And I talked with Drew a few days ago, and I said we need to have him back on the show to talk about Pirate Party, see what they're doing and how they're coming along. So definitely a future episode as well.
Do we have any idea what their ballot access looks like?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
It's interesting. I mean, I wonder if Vermin could outperform Chase.
Chase will probably have the advantage just on number of states. Well, who knows what number of states he's going to be on?
I will say that the fact that it's Chase means that ballot access goes up by 5 states immediately: Massachusetts, Michigan, New Mexico. New Mexico.
Is that the one where he said the gun will go off? Gun to your head. You choose Trump or Biden. It's like the gun will go off. And it's like no hesitation
no
whatsoever.
Hesitation at all.
It's like
awesome.
it's so Chase.
Yeah. That's a great answer.
God, I love him. I love him.
So Chase's ballot access is significantly better than Rechtenwald's would have been. I think that they could easily be at 47 states. I don't see. I don't see
Alabama. Well, I think Alabama lost theirs, didn't they?
I don't know. And then there's this bullshit about Wyoming, and a few other states saying that they're not going to put Chase on, which is just ridiculous. But I mean, if they are, we just got to nail them.
Yeah.
We got to nail them and say, Wyoming, how can you do this? Brokeback Mountain is about your state. How can you be so homophobic? Whatever
Well,
is the reason.
I think there's been some defections to the Liberal Party that have taken some of those states that, they could give. I mean, it's up to the state parties like the Libertarian Party of New Mexico and the Massachusetts affiliate that are now affiliated with the Liberal Party. They could still give Chase their ballot access.
No, they have. They all have committed to doing that.
Oh, they have. Okay, that's good.
I am counting that, and that's why I say I think it's 47.
But I know that they just signed on a Wyoming party for the Liberal Party.
Right.
So, maybe the people that were involved in the Liberal or Libertarian Party of Wyoming, the good people like Bethany Valdez and I know Marshall Byrd is actually running as a Republican this time to get his seat back. But the people that did the work there in Wyoming have left the Libertarian Party. So, but yeah, so Janice had the right answer. 34. The number of the week is 34. Donald Trump convicted of all 34 charges against him, and we can talk about was it a victimless crime or the merits of the case, but he does become the first president convicted of a felony, and that's going to whether it stands up to appeal and all that stuff, that's to be decided eventually.
I mean, you're already seeing it in some of the mainstream media where they're saying, the press is referring to him as former president and convicted felon Donald Trump.
Yep.
As they should.
I think that, it depends on what,
Awesome.
After a period of mourning, the Fox News people, I don't think have used that yet, but
no, but NPR.
I don't think Newsmax is going to use it, but yeah, NPR, CNN, and MSNBC. I mean, I think they are leading with convicted felon and former president. Right. So, but it's fun. I mean, the memes, my goodness, the memes on the conviction were fire, as they always are. The meme verse provides in
right
in all instances.
If we're going to mention that, in the interest of fair reporting, we should talk about the other side of it. Trump had his biggest single fundraising day after the day he was convicted.
I would like to see some stats on that. I mean, I'm not denying that he got $53 million off of it. I want to see, are these new donors, or are these the same fools that have been chucking all of their hard-earned cash at this guy for years?
And it's an interesting question too. We sort of get into the difficulty of campaign finance reform and how difficult it is to say whether or not somebody has actually made a donation to the presidential campaign. Because you and I are limited to, I think it's $3,300 donation to the campaign.
I don't know. Last I heard it was like 20 something, but yeah. Well, there's primary and then general election that you can split.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's $3,300. However,
inflation.
One of the things about it is that for somebody like AJ, who is made of money,
yes,
she can donate a maximum of $10,000 to the Steve. AJ can donate, let's just say hypothetically, $15,000 to the Libertarian Party of Colorado, which he's moving to, and tell them,
please do not.
I'm giving you this $15,000 so that you can then give $10,000 to Chase. And in theory, that's a very nice way to get $10,000 from every state
pocket.
10,000 times 50. Unfortunately, that math cannot be calculated, so we don't know how much money it's going to be. I'm just kidding. 10,000 times 50 is obviously $500,000. But
and let's say, since we're being hypothetical here, what do you think the chances are of me ever giving $1 to the Libertarian Party of any goddamn where.
In the rest of your life, I think the chances are reasonable. I'd say 20%.
20%.
Yep.
I'm going to go lower. I'm going to go lower.
Lower.
I'm going to go
Well, see,
lower.
what you don't know is that
I
based
mean,
on
if Dan's running, if Dan is the presidential candidate, I think we'll
exactly,
roll wallets.
it could happen. It could happen.
There we go.
Okay, so I donated to Chase as soon as he started his run.
Yep.
So, but that's
Well,
to
and
Chase.
it's definitely better to donate to a candidate
Yes.
than just donate to a party. But when you get to the high end stuff, right? In
I
order to
want to be
maximize your donation.
ambassador to Switzerland.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Oh, yeah.
right. You don't want to be stuck with just the $3,300.
There you go, Steve.
Right.
There you go, Steve.
Vote chaseoliver.com, $3,300. People, you should make it happen right now.
Yes.
And then after that, you can donate money to the National Party, which can then give
You're
money.
losing me.
Huh?
Losing me. Pulse.
Well,
Go
no,
on.
understand.
Go on.
I mean, hypothetical, yes.
Well, but so here's the interesting thing about it is it's not quite clear what the requirements are to be a national party and for somebody to be the affiliate. So could I form my own national party and declare Chase my candidate, and then I would be allowed to give him $10,000 because the national committee can give, maybe it's $5,000. Yeah, it's $5,000 for the primary, $5,000 for the general. I don't know. The thing is that if you're really wealthy, there's all sorts of ways around the campaign finance rule, right?
You're really wealthy. There's all
But
kinds of
I think
things around
we've got
everything.
now. But I think we now have the idea that you can't use it to pay a porn star.
But so now let's talk about the other aspect of this. None of us believe that what Trump did should be against the law. It is against the law, but none of us believe that it should be against the law.
I still think that there's a fraud aspect to it. People donating.
You know, fraud.
Yeah, I mean,
you couldn't find anybody who would be willing to prosecute, right? Nobody who gives money to Trump is going to claim they.
I mean, regardless of whether we think that it should be a crime or not, it is a crime. It is
a crime.
I mean, it's there on the books.
I feel like it should be. Honestly, I feel like it should.
I mean, why do you think?
I think it's an asshole move.
Because if you are, I guess my thing is, if you are defrauding people,
but really,
their money,
he didn't defraud anybody either, right? They have some bookkeeping things. They didn't record it correctly. He certainly has the money to pay for it.
Then maybe he should have just paid for it instead of lying to the government.
Maybe, but the point is that
because if I lie to the government, my ass is going to be wearing orange.
Oh no, I think that we talk about the Orange Man. We have to talk about what he said when he was at the Libertarian National Convention, which is that he was going to pardon Ross, who also didn't do anything that you or I would consider illegal.
He's going to join Ross.
He's not going to do it. But
much more likely to join Ross than pardon him.
That's another example of somebody who did something that none of us think is illegal, but the government does.
Yeah,
Drew's got it right. The falsifying of records should be a crime. Should these records even be required? I don't think so. Right? I mean, why should you be required to tell the government how you spend your money? That's just.
I mean, to me, we can argue the libertarian point of view that this stuff shouldn't be a crime, but it is a crime. It's still a crime.
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
the reason why it's not. I don't think it's going to impact the election at all.
Oh no, it's not going to at all, because what this did was already hardened hard opinions.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If you were, there was like a bunch of people coming out at the end of the, at the end of the trial saying, oh, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump now. Well, you were silent about voting for Donald Trump before. You're now vocal about voting for Donald Trump, but you were going to vote for Donald Trump anyway.
Right.
If you're going to vote for Joe Biden because of this conviction, you were going to vote for him anyway.
Yeah, right. Nobody was convinced to be a Biden voter by this conviction.
No.
Right.
What this does, and I hate to say it, is that it makes it much more likely that we don't make it to the election in one piece. That, if we get to a point where Donald Trump is being marched to jail, I think there's going to be some dumb stuff happening. And, we know that even like when Trump had Mar-a-Lago raided, people started taking shots at the FBI office in fucking Cincinnati for some damn odd reason. Trump loses an election. He has people invading the fucking Capitol building. And his supporters don't take his losses any better than he does.
And here's a really interesting thing about it is that his legacy is much larger than his life. I don't wish for anybody to die, but Trump's not going to live that much longer. He's not a healthy person, and he's pretty old. But
golden diapers.
Yeah, exactly. But the people that he has awoken to activism, they are an enormous threat. And what's crazy about it is that Trump himself is pretty cozy with a lot of Democratic policies. He's hardly a conservative Republican.
No, he's not.
And yet, here we are in this crazy space that the emperor has no clothes. And sometimes I think that we make it worse for ourselves. We being the people who oppose Donald Trump because of his outright authoritarianism, as opposed to his conservatism or illiberalism, whatever you want to say. We make it worse by giving people a cause to rally behind him on. Right? When what we have to be doing is saying the emperor has no clothes. That sort of thing. Keep playing that Howard Stern tape where Donald Trump talks about the fact that he's paid for thousands of abortions because he's a New York playboy. Right? Let the evangelical.
I shared
I don't
the
think
article.
they care about that.
Yeah, I shared the article back when a few weeks ago, talking about how evangelicals see Trump's foibles, including that trial, as godly manliness.
I see so many pictures of Donald Trump with a spiritual Jesus giving him a back rub or stuff like that. It is insane.
Yeah. It is surrounding me. And no, I'm a big believer in you do your paperwork. If that is what's required, you do your paperwork. I'm a nurse. If I don't document it, it didn't fucking happen. It doesn't matter if their wound has obviously been changed. If I didn't write down exactly what I did, it didn't happen. And no, it doesn't always make sense to me. And no, it won't always make a big difference in a court of law. But should that chart ever be pulled, that's required. And I don't know. I like I said, I'm not libertarian. I really do think that there needs to be regulation because people can't be fucking trusted.
Yeah.
And I know that's pessimistic and it's terrible. I told you, not a libertarian.
I mean, in this case, I think, a fool and their money are soon parted. People who give money to Donald Trump shouldn't have any expectation that it's not going to be spent on hookers and blow.
Well, it's going to be spent on a lot of court fees, like the E. Jean Carroll stuff and all that stuff.
All this stuff, exactly. I don't think that most of the people who are giving money to Donald Trump care about anything except him being elected president. And they don't care what the means are.
No.
And in this case, the means are Donald Trump being able to be Trumpy. The best thing about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people are being groomed to accepting a tyrant. I mean, why else would Tucker Carlson go to Russia and do this just absolute hand job for Vladimir Putin, and then walk around the Russian subways and their grocery stores talking about how beautiful it is there. They're being groomed to accept the yoke of servitude to Donald Trump because they think that they're being sold this idealized that things in Hungary are doing better, things in Russia are doing better, and if you just give Donald
No,
Trump the power that he wants, everything will be better here in the United States.
it's
We'll be winning again.
it's like that Loki speech in the Avengers, right? That's one of the finest moments on film, right? Isn't this better? Isn't this your natural position as men on your knees, kneeling before an actual leader? Don't you crave this? And the problem is that there are so many people who do crave that,
Oh yeah, we've
and
been
they
conditioned to.
outvote us.
Yeah, we've been conditioned to accept, bad results and bad leadership. Like
Well,
there's
and
no one holding leaders to account.
and to believe that you can't do things like this. It's learned
Oh yeah,
helplessness. That's where things have really broken down, is that we believe you can't make the roads, you can't have good health care, you can't do any of the stuff that makes us a civilized society unless government is involved, right? Taxes are the price that we pay for a civilized society. We have
not
been
very civil.
sold that line of bullshit. Now, if you abstracted the word taxes, right, it's clear that there's an ability for human beings to work together so that the sum of our work is greater than the total of the parts that we put in because we're able to work together. But doing that voluntarily is much better than using force, right? I mean, the Chinese dammed the Yangtze River, right? They built the Three Gorges Dam project, all that stuff.
Yeah,
The Russians did all these people's project, whatever they are, right, through coercive labor. And you could say, okay, well, that's interesting. Americans, we sort of put a man on the moon, but again, it's kind of coercive. And Janice is right: taxation is theft. But look at the greatest satellite network ever assembled, and that was done privately.
for the most
You
part.
look
I
at
mean,
you look at
Elon does have quite a few government contracts, but
sure. I mean, but I don't blame people for taking contracts from the government because the government is taking money from people and
sure.
spending it. But you look at all the things that free societies have produced and that free workers have produced, and we get to a point where we start saying the thing about government is government always does it worse. But
I mean, yeah, you can look at China and see like the cities that were built just to build cities.
yeah,
There are ghost towns. There are several massive city projects that are just built, and there's for a city of 15 million has like 30,000 people living there.
yeah,
Right?
it's broken, and lesser government is less broken than more government. But fundamentally, if you look at the places where people really excel, it's where they find. And look, I'm not an anarchist. I am a minarchist. I've talked about it for a long time. I do believe there are places where government is required, but
You're right,
the
Ken.
places where government is not required is creating barriers to entry for people who want to compete in the market. And that's, in the United States, to me, that's 80% of what government does now.
Yeah.
80% of what government does is protectionism. When in
And
reality,
they're doing it at the behest of companies that were
absolutely,
like when you talk about the internet and AI, they're begging for regulation because they know that is how they protect their market and keep
exactly.
people out of their market. So
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
I get it.
Healthcare is the same thing. Okay. The fact of the matter is that we could be cranking out nurse practitioners at American universities. You could have so many nurse practitioners out there that they would be out there working the way medicine used to work, where people are actually in the field, seeing patients, preventative medicine. But we're not able to do that because doctors have so much political power that they have changed the laws that nurse practitioners have to work under a doctor's supervision. And no nurse practitioner wants to do that because, or let me not say that. It's not that no nurse practitioner wants to do that. What happens is it caps the amount of nurse practitioners who can get jobs because they have to be employed by doctors. The number of doctors in the United States is capped by the AMA, an organization of doctors who keep the amount of doctors in the United States scarce. So all this stuff, we could blow this bullshit up if we just didn't have the government in the way.
Yep.
I'm preaching to the choir here.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Actually, yeah, Janice, those 2 awards were handed out. Spike got the Thomas Paine Communication Award. Chase got the Patrick Henry Candidate Award for his run for the U.S. Senate. Although he probably should get it again. Candidate that visited all 50 states before the nomination. That's impressive as hell.
It was very impressive. I can't tell you it was awesome to see Joe get that award. And again, you know, there is part of what's wrong with the Libertarian Party is that all of the women who loved Joe as a candidate are invisible to the party. Party leaders don't see them. They don't honor them. They don't respect their work. They don't respect Joe. My big problem,
because she said that we have to be anti-racist. My God.
Well, but it's no. So first of all, if a man had said that, nobody would have said boo about it.
Yep.
Okay, but
unless he was gay.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see who gets called more woke, a woman or a gay man. And you know, Joe was deliberately quiet on a lot of the issues that I think could have been bigger.
Yeah.
Here, we're in a space where Chase has nothing to lose, right? There are, you know, at the very least, RFK is going to consume a lot of oxygen during the time.
At least his brainworm will.
Exactly. Well, his brainworm has endorsed Chase on Twitter.
Well, there you go.
So I think that it's going to be very interesting to see what Chase is able to really set fire to. Like, I have very high hopes that Chase is going to be at a lot of Pride events, and he's going to be doing very libertarian things there. I'm hoping that he's going to open carry at a lot of Pride events, because I think that would be an amazing issue. We have never had, as far as I know, any presidential candidate do anything significant commercially, you know, promoting their campaign, showing them using firearms, which is ridiculous. I don't know why not. Let's talk about that's where we are, right? Because so we had an interesting article on let.live talking about the presidential candidate Olympics. And we talked about it for the first time, because it is an Olympic year, right? Presidential year is always an Olympic year. Let's have 4 events. The first event is come out of your house and there's a Ford Explorer. We give you the keys. It's got a flat tire. You need to be able to change a flat. I'm pretty convinced only Chase could do that. Maybe one of the other guys could do it, but I doubt it. Then go to the grocery store and shop. And let's just say you're going to go to a super Walmart and you're going to prepare dinner for 4 on $30. Come home, prepare that. And for those of us who live in the real world, $30, no problem, right? I can make chili. I could buy a couple of whole chickens. Easy cheesy. Yeah, Termont could do it. I agree, Ken. Termont can do all of these things. I'm talking about the 4 candidates here, the 4 main candidates being Trump, Biden, Kennedy, and Oliver. I'm not counting Gloria whatever her name is, or Jill Stein. But then people suggested some other things. You know what? Let's see which presidential candidate can set up a Wi-Fi network and connect to it. Right? I'm pretty sure only Chase can do that too.
I think the brainworm would just slither out of his ear.
All these things. But so there's all these great opportunities to do stuff. Things that, like, I really wish we'd done better, like for the Johnson campaign, right? We were going to film this commercial of Gary Johnson running this art museum steps in Philadelphia, and then challenging Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump to do it in half of his time, because we knew that he could do it in under a minute. And Gary was obviously in phenomenal shape.
Jesus.
But I think Chase has got the opportunity to really distinguish himself. Obviously, intellectually, he is the smartest candidate running. Politically, he is the most exciting candidate running. Charismatically, he is the best candidate. I mean, you can't deny Trump's charisma. I can't explain it, but there are clearly people who buy into Trump's charisma. But Biden has no charisma. Biden is a Democratic candidate because it would have burned the party if he wasn't.
So we got at the end of the month, I guess, we're going to have a debate between Biden and Trump.
Yeah.
You know, Chase isn't going to be invited. You know, RFK is not going to be invited. But let's say one of these guys just completely malfunctions. Now, I think even if Trump just, his diaper overflows on stage, I don't think that even matters. Yeah. But if Biden poops the bed,
right,
you've got to start talking about an open convention for the Democrats. And I think this is probably the best thing that could happen to the Democrats.
Absolutely. Well, it's twofold. I'll tell you why I don't think that's true. Because the Democratic Party is so split right now on Israel. And it's not really split. It's probably 90-10. Sure. But without Biden to hold down that position, to keep that lid closed, I think that is getting ready to really boil over in the Democratic Party.
I can see it, but I still think that Donald Trump is such a polarizing figure that he's going to keep whoever the Democratic nominee is going to be able to. I mean, unless they're just absolutely horrid.
Yeah.
I mean, they went Kamala. I don't know that she'd be able to keep them together, but I think that, a young guy like Pete Buttigieg or somebody along those lines that,
I think that's
relatively safe.
Yeah. The Democrats, I don't know. I mean, if you look at the cabinet people who's in there, I think Pete would be interesting. I mean, he's only ever been mayor and then as an elected position. There are plenty of Democrats who have been governor who I think would probably be.
I mean, I would love to see Jared Polis. I think Jared Polis would make a fantastic president. It's the name recognition.
Gene Shaheen, former governor of New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, yeah.
There are choices out there. What's his name? The good-looking dude from California. I can't think of his name.
Oh, Gavin Newsom. The problem is that I think
he
California turns people off that are not Californians.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a danger. I mean, I think that he can run, and he's got enough baggage. There's so many people who think that just California is just this epic shithole.
Thanks, Janice. Yeah. Wendy Davis out of Texas. I've always had a soft spot for her. Of course.
Yeah, she would be badass.
Yeah, but
she's only ever been a state rep, right?
Exactly, and she lost to what's his name pretty handily. Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz. Ugh.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I do think the Democrats could benefit from having somebody other than Biden, but I think that the whole reason why they have Biden now is the same problem that they had then, in that the party can't unify around anybody else because it's politic and there's egos involved. And, the squad, right? The Bernie Sanders, that group, they're not going to support anybody else. Okay. They sucked it up for Biden, but I don't see them coming back now, especially, where they are on the rest of the issues.
I still think that Donald Trump keeps them all together, at least for this election. Next
Maybe.
election, that's
But
all are off once we clear Donald Trump. I think all bets are off within the Democrats.
Yeah, I think that you saw one of the interesting things that you saw at the LNC convention was you saw some people competing to be the heir to Donald Trump. So Vivek
and
yeah.
So
that's an interesting thing too. I think we should
Mike
do the
Lee.
quiz.
Yeah, let's do the quiz. Let's do this. All right.
Incidentally, people should go to let.live and read that political Olympics article because it's pretty funny.
Okay.
I have no idea who that is.
Looks like a river of some sort. There's some.
Right.
This
is Hands Across America. But who is that? Do you have any idea who that is?
It looked like a stewardess to me.
Oh, yeah, the oldest stewardess.
Okay, this is in Spanish. What I can see here, the placards for the fines.
Yeah, and you're right. This is an airplane too. So yeah, you're 100% right.
All right. So, a severe storm, a flag controversy, a group of stolen artifacts. What do you remember from the week that was? Remember, this is the CNN News quiz. It was on Thursday, so anything that's happened this weekend was not on there. And I don't know that. Yeah, I think this came out before the Trump conviction, so that wouldn't be on there either. Or that would probably have been the first thing they talked about.
Yeah.
All right, question number 1. Which state was impacted by the widespread power outages caused by severe thunderstorms this week? Arizona, California, Georgia, or Texas?
So I think it's surprisingly Texas, but it could have been a whole bunch of states, right? Didn't Tennessee just get hit again? And
always.
Yeah.
Every 5 minutes.
But I'm pretty sure it's Texas because my
it is
sister lives in Houston, and she talked about their generator kicking in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Correct. Texas. Hundreds of thousands of utility customers in Texas were without power this week after storms unleashed hurricane force winds. Use the force, Luke. Des got that.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, I got a droid over here.
I got a Han Solo on my desk somewhere. Hang on. All right, but we can keep going.
All right. Question number 2. Former President Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial was heard by a panel of how many jurors? Best meme this week was Donald Trump finally won a popular vote.
No. 12.
I think that it's actually 15 because of the alternates. But you can persuade me that it should be 12.
I think it's 12.
I'm not going to persuade.
Well, the final count was 12. The alternates don't count after the.
But it says it was heard by a panel of how many? So if only 12 heard it, all right, let's go with 12. Janice says it's 12. She's always
Janice says 12. I think it's 12 as well. We could be wrong, but correct. A panel of 12 New Yorkers heard testimony about whether former President Donald Trump falsified business records related to a hush money payment to an adult film star before the 2016 election. It's starting to come out that some of the jurors are starting to get not so much doxxed. I think they used the information that was given out during voir dire to identify these folks. And, I talked about how Trump supporters don't really react well to his losses. I think one of the things that might tip this election is if one of his supporters goes after a juror or the judge or somebody else involved in this case. Because if someone comes to harm because of it, then I think a lot of people will tip their opinion on this thing. At least
I mean, we kind
in
of
the
thought
independent.
No, they will claim that it was false flag. It was somebody from
Yes.
Antifa who did
it
it.
was,
Oh, yeah,
To,
sure.
yeah, it's just January 6th all over again.
Yeah. Which type of animal recently tested positive for the H5N1 bird flu for the first time? Dog, alpaca, goat, or hamster?
Wow. See, I was
I'm gonna say
expecting to see
dog.
cow. I know the cows have it. I'm going to guess that it's a goat because dairy products get tested a lot. But I don't know. I have
I
no
said
idea.
dog. AJ, what you got?
My first instinct was dog, but I don't know.
I mean, there are a lot of dogs, so statistically, that answer is more likely.
I mean, it's statistically yes, but it also
I,
is much
I
more
feel like I
worrying.
saw it somewhere.
Yeah.
That was.
All right, let's go
Is that a
dog.
All right, let's do dog. Oh, it was an alpaca. A group of alpacas on a
What?
farm in Idaho recently tested positive for the H5N1
And
bird
is it actually
flu for the first
alpaca
time.
or alpaca?
I think it's
Alpaca, tomato.
Okay, because I was like, I have always said alpaca.
I don't know.
Okay, I was just asking. No, I'm not, no judgment.
All right. Question number 4. Which Supreme Court justice received mounting criticism after 2 controversial flags have flown on their properties? Justice Sonia Sotomayor, Justice Amy Coney Barrett, Justice Samuel Alito, or Justice Clarence Thomas?
I'll give you a hint. They made a film about her battle angel. No, none of you guys saw Alita Battle Angel.
No, I did
No.
not see that movie.
It was a pretty good film. It's Samuel
Yeah.
L. Ken's got it.
Yeah, Ken got it. Good job, Ken. So he flew 2 controversial flags. One was the flag upside down, and the other one was something to heaven flag.
Appeal to
request
heaven.
Appeal to heaven.
It's the pine tree flag that the Free State people fly as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
He says his wife. So he's like, I can't tell my wife what to do, but he was the author of the Roe versus Wade decision. So, but
that is funny. In a very dark
but yeah, he said he can't tell his wife what to do. She's like a big flag person. I'm a big flag person. All the flags back there. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't think that he's all that disappointed in those flags flying.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Crooked ass bullshit.
All right. Question number 5. What is causing some rivers in Alaska to change color from a clear blue to a rusty orange? Marine debris,
bloom.
oil spill, climate change, or plankton bloom?
I think it's plankton.
I think it's plankton.
That makes plankton causes the red tide. So
yeah, I remember back in the day in New Mexico there was the Animas River. I mean, not the cleanest river. It wasn't like blue like this river over here. But they did something with a mine in Colorado, and it just dumped all the water from the mine into the river, and it turned this fluorescent orange color. It was kind of close to this. So I won't dispute plankton bloom. Anybody in the audience have anything? All right, let's do plankton bloom.
Plankton.
No.
Okay, I'm not guessing anymore.
Climate change.
I mean, that's such a bullshit answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a wide answer. I mean, I think you could have narrowed it down to a little more. New study shows rivers in Alaska are turning a rusty orange color due to an unexpected consequence of climate change. Like what? All right, so specifically, discoloration is caused by a release of metals such as iron, zinc, copper, nickel, and lead as the permafrost thaws. I mean, I guess it makes sense. That's what happened with that copper mine that flooded the Animas River. So,
All right.
But yeah, all right. Question number 6. The world's longest serving flight attendant, Betty Nash, recently passed away at the age of 88. Which airline did she work for? American, Delta, Alaska, or United? Let's go back to our context clue.
It's got to be American.
Yeah, wait a minute. We'll wait for that to come because she was wearing a lanyard.
Yeah, she's wearing a blue outfit. Not that necessarily means anything.
I can't really see what it is, but I'm going to say United as well.
You said United. I said American.
Oh,
but I'm willing to go with United. Both are relevant. I mean, you have to think. Longest serving flight attendant. If she was serving for, let's just say, 50 years, right?
maybe even 60.
I'm trying to remember if United is that old. I don't know.
I can be talking to American, so.
All right, let's try it.
There it is. American Airlines issued a statement honoring the life of Betty Nash, the world's longest serving flight attendant. She started on the job in 1957 and spent nearly 7 decades caring for customers with warmth, dedication, and unparalleled service, the airline said.
That's pretty crazy.
Oh, Janice got it. All right. Question number 7. Which capital broke an all-time record high temperature this week? Cairo in Egypt, Delhi, India, Bangkok, Thailand, or Beijing, China? China.
I don't think it's Delhi.
Getting hot here.
Take off all our clothes.
No.
My bet is Thailand. But I don't know why. I'm hoping the audience knows something about this. I think if it were Delhi, I might have heard something from our team there, but I don't know.
Delhi they just had a big election there, and
oh yeah, no, they talked
India.
about it a lot. In fact, they used our product to film some things at the election. It's very exciting.
Nice.
Oh, Janice says it's Delhi. Craig says it's India. Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Correct. The Indian Capital Territory of Delhi, sweltering,
Nice.
the highest ever temperature at 121.
Wow, 121.
And
That's insane.
that's the thing. Like if you're in Cairo and it's 121, it's probably not. I mean, it's hot, but you also have the humidity. It's humid as fuck there.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm sure
Wow.
that was brutal.
All right, question number 8. Which automaker issued a warning to thousands of vehicle owners over an airbag safety hazard? Honda, Nissan, Kia, or Toyota?
If it's only thousands, well, those are all big manufacturers. I don't know. Man, you know what?
Yeah,
I was out of the country. I was out of the country all week. That's why I don't know any of this stuff.
Well, and we were also at a convention, locked down from.
Well, the convention
all
was
over
after. Oh no, wait.
No. This one, this
right,
ran
you're
until
right,
Thursday.
Yeah, and I wasn't. Yeah, okay. I got no excuse. Hopefully, the audience can bail us out on this.
Anybody,
again.
please?
We're going with. This is where the tape delay is killing us.
I know.
I don't think it's worth it.
Janice.
That every time that I try to say beep, you can press a button and people don't hear me. I just censored myself, people.
All right.
You've heard me say. Let's just go with Toyota.
Kia?
Oh, let's do Kia. I agree.
Nissan, which I drive. Yay.
Ooh.
84,000 owners of older Nissan vehicles in the United States were told to immediately stop driving their cars due to potential airbag inflators that can explode. Nissan has had some issues with their airbags. I was on a recall for my Altima that has had an airbag issue. So I'll have to go check that out and see if my car is back on a recall. I wouldn't be surprised. Question number 9. Which state could become the first to require schools to display the 10 Commandments in all classrooms? Alabama, Kansas, Louisiana, or Tennessee? I've heard this one. It's Louisiana.
What is? Yeah, I was like, it's not Tennessee. Oddly enough, it is Louisiana.
Coming soon to Tennessee.
Coming soon. Yeah.
According to a controversial new bill, every Louisiana classroom from kindergarten through university level will be required to display the Ten Commandments or risk losing state funding. I don't think this one's going to hold up.
First of all, it won't hold up. But secondly, I like the idea that you could show Donald Trump crossing out all the ones that he's broken. Adultery, no. Lying,
He'll be using that Sharpie
murder,
that he was talking about.
no. Honor your father and mother,
13.
no.
Taking the Lord's name in vain.
No.
We can cross that one out several times, I think.
Exactly.
All right. Which country recently returned a group of stolen artifacts worth more than $80 million to Italy? France, Germany, Spain, or the United States?
You said it was Spanish.
The placards are in Spanish, so I'm leaning towards. Well, it could have been French.
No, dude, you can't tell the difference between Spanish and Italian. You racist.
Yeah, you can.
Whoa.
There's enough.
Boys, you're both pretty.
I don't know, man. Spanish and Italian are so close.
They are pretty close, but there are some.
There's a difference. It's going to be the United States. It was going to be stuff that we took during the war, during the occupation.
All right.
After liberation.
Anybody else? We're having a dispute here.
Right.
Everybody else is like,
In fact, I'm going to go back up to the context clues.
Figure that out yours.
Elmo. Yeah, it may be Italian. All right. So you say United States?
It makes the most sense. None of those other countries really occupied Italy. I mean, Germany, like a little bit, but for the United States, like, went from the toe all the way up to the garter.
There it is. Hundreds of traffic valuables ranging from life-size bronze statues to tiny Roman coins were confiscated in the United States and returned to Italy. All right, 7 out of 10.
That's not bad. That's like, we're getting back into shape.
C. It's a bouncy C.
Which is good because the Olympics are coming up.
Yeah. The Olympics are coming up.
About that.
Which country are you most excited to see in the rundown? That's like my favorite part of the Olympics is the March of the Nations and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I confess that I worry there's going to be a Munich type situation. But, what are you going to do? So I think that, the March of the Nations is going to be great. I am excited to see, just raw American dominance at track and field, and then us losing in the first round in basketball. I don't even know who's on the team.
Yeah, I mean it's not as prestigious as it once was, like with the Dream Team and all that stuff.
Well, not only that, they've lost a couple times now. So it's coached. Well, it's not a bad team, actually. Actually, they have no excuse for not bringing home the gold.
Okay.
It's Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard.
Oh
Jason
yeah,
Tatum.
they should win.
Yeah.
I mean, although I was looking at the projections for I'm not a real big NBA fan, but I was looking at the projections for the draft, and I would say a good number of the draft picks are going to be foreign born. Like they're from Greece.
Well,
and
there's been a push for a long
Serbia.
time. Actually, I don't know whether or not they did it or not, to change the NBA All-Star game to be America against the world. That would make for a great game.
They used to do that they used to do North America versus the world for hockey.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all goes.
All right.
All right. Well, I think we're good for the week. Don't have an official topic for next week, but stay tuned. Hopefully
That's a
have
great
something
point,
nailed
Philip. I
down
agree.
soon.
I'm looking forward to not seeing Russia in the parade.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Although they like every other year, last few Olympics, they've been able to march under a neutral banner, but at
Right.
least the ones that are not doping will be allowed to march under a non banner. So all right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us.
Good night,
And
everybody.
yeah, good night. Have a good night, and we will talk to you all next week.
Say good night, Gracie.
Good night,
Night, Gracie.
Gracie.